Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another live, man. I love doing these things. I'm so excited. If you're new here, my name is Skylar Santana. On this channel, we talk about all things watch related. Now, what I wanted to have a conversation with you guys on this episode is new releases. And before we get into that, because you know how I get into my tangents and I go way off course, we're first going to do a wrist watch check. And on my wrist, I have my Namoki mods build that I did, and I'm going to take it off wrist so you guys can see it properly. And so I did a video on this. This is one of the early ones. I wanted to wear this watch. Here's the deal. I have not been connecting too much to the watch. It's not because of anything but the fact that I think I need to change the design a little bit. And that's one of the things about customizing watches and building your watches. Namoki is a fantastic place to go for that because they have quality parts. And I have some watch parts sitting behind me, and I found hands that are going to make this look phenomenal. So I can't wait to do that swap. It's going to take a little bit of elbow grease, but I'm no stranger in the category of customization. So I have the Namoki mods, and on my right wrist, I have another watch that I like to bring up a lot. It's a micro brand. Listen, I love the watch. What can I say? I got to bring it up, and I got to take it off wrist so you guys can see it properly. And they're going to be the first one that we introduce and we go to the website for, because we're talking about new releases, but we're also talking about fantastic micro brands, web-based brands, if you want to go by dictionary of Skylar Santana. And yes, I'm talking fast, but if you can't understand, I need you to catch up. So, Noctua watches. Now, I show this watch a lot. I know this, but I love it. All loom dial. And here's the deal. It wasn't the watch that I was wearing on wrist all day. It was actually accompanied by my F91W that I normally wear. But I'm bringing this watch up because JP, him and I had a conversation. He says, you know what, man, you bring up the watch so much, I got to give you a discount code. So if you've been thinking about a toolish watch that combines the nature of the SKX and the Sin, I'm going to need you to type in, what is the code again? I have it in the description. Matter of fact, let me look. Let me not say the wrong code while I'm live. I'm going to bring it up because I have the memory of a squirrel, and I'm looking through the text. I do apologize. I see some chat has come in. We are going to address that, of course. I was just staring at the text. I think it's Santana 15 for 15% off. It's in the description. And of course, now that I'm live. Okay, here it is. Hold on. Mama. Oh man, yes, it's actually Skylar 15 for 15% off of Noctua watches. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, let's shift gears and show you guys. This is the brand that we are in fact talking about. And now I bring them up a lot because I absolutely love this brand. Now here's the deal, man. Here's the deal. The brand is getting on their feet, which means that parts are extremely expensive. So keep that in mind for all you value hunters. But I'll tell you why I push the agenda. Yes, he's my friend, but there's other reasons. The other reason is when I got the watch, I don't know if you're like me and you missed out on the SKX 007. Now I have the 009, but originally I was looking for the 007, and I felt like that ship has sailed, but it didn't, because ultimately I did want that one originally, but at that time it was too much money. So I guess you can say I settled on the 009, which I'm not mad at, especially after I modified the bezel. Matter of fact, I think I do have that one on deck. I show you guys this one a lot. We're going to get into new releases. Let me let some people roll in. But this is the watch that I'm talking about right now. That's the SKX 009. And now I missed out on the 007. Now, effectively, Noctua watches combines the two of the SKX 007 and the Sin, if you will, which is gets related, or the Seiko Sport, however you want to slice that apple. But this is the watch brand that we're talking about. This is the newer release that he has. We are talking about newer releases, so it is relevant to the conversation. So all loom dial is what I'm attracted to the most. In my own opinion, if you are checking out Noctua watches, you have to get the bracelet because it's all bead blasted, and the bead blasted bracelet matches with the bead blasted case. Therefore, the two is a pair, and you want to get them together. Now, that being said, check out that code, Skylar15, 15% off. Hi, beautiful. Wife is home. So let me catch up on chat, and then we're going to steamroll into some new releases. Welcome in, everybody, and thank you for those who are watching the playback. I do appreciate everybody. Eric Mack is in the building, and he says, hey, Skylar, hey, chat. Hey, Eric Mack, I always appreciate you, bro. And, of course, as I mentioned, see, say the devil's name, and he shall appear. Noctua watch is in the building, so that was That wasn't scheduled, man. That was just so happened to me. But we're boys. The wife says hi, JP. We're boys, and I'm completely transparent. And you know what? There's more than us just being friends to why I push the agenda, because I really do feel like it's a value. And when you get the watch in hand, especially if you get it on bracelet, which I'm going to put it back on bracelet. My wife was wearing the watch, but I'm going to steal it back because she stole other watches of mine that I think that will keep her busy whilst I put the bracelet back on. She says she wants it back. There goes that. Perfect timing. Yeah, exactly. Patek Philippe with the early super chat. Appreciate you, bro. He gives a $5 tip to your boy, and he says, "What's going on, big dog? Have a good weekend." Yo, I appreciate you just popping in and slipping your guy a bill real quick. You know what I'm saying? One day, man, one day we got to get together. I either have to have you here or I have to go where you're at. Just saying, because I did catch you on a live and you are a fantastic host. Just saying, but I do appreciate it. Skylar15, thank you, sir. Yes, that is the code, guys. If you are interested in Noctua watches, if you're looking for a toolish watch, it does have drill the lugs. It's fantastic, man. It gets it done. It gets it done. Don't get the 007, man. Go ahead and get yourself a Noctua. Because here's the deal. Some people were going with Islanders version, right? Because they wanted the sapphire crystal. They wanted the upgraded movement. And if you had an all-loom dial like me, he's giving you an NH38. So fantastic guy. And look, we look for reasons why we back companies. And just so you guys know the backstory to Noctua watches, the owner's name is JP, and he had a channel customizing watches and showing you guys how to build watches. So when you talk about giving value prior to doing anything else, it's there. That's all I'm going to say. I digress. What are we talking about? Nice looking watch. Yes, sir. You definitely got to check it out. Definitely got to check it out. And the bead blast is just phenomenal. Super toolish. I'm not a handy guy. I call the guy if I need a plumber or if I need an electrician or if I need if I pop a tire, I call somebody to change the tire. I'm not a handy guy, but when I wear that watch, I feel like I am because it's so toolish. Check them out. JP says hi, beautiful. All right, guys. So here's the agenda. The agenda is this. I have my micro brand watch case upon me, but I wanted to go over new releases. And I'll tell you something. While building out this live, it didn't take me a long time to get a lot of new releases. There are a lot. It's endless. It's crazy. When we talk about a matter of 5 days, if you follow enough brands, there were so many releases that I had to cut down because there was just too many web links. So I might include some for the next live, depending on how this goes and how you guys find it to be value to yourself. But I figure if you come to this channel, you can chat live with myself and the community, and you could possibly be put on to some new releases. So let's get into it. We are now 8 minutes in, and I haven't shown you a new. Technically, the Noctua GMT is a new release, so that was fitting. So that being said, let's do this, and then go back to this and that. Yes. I think that this is going. I don't think I know. I think I know. I think Christopher Ward is going to be talked about if they sneeze at this point, right? They are deadheading. There's a lot of brands watching what they do. Nay, there's a lot of enthusiasts watching what they do to see how they're going to segue into the market and how they're going to elevate their innovation for what they're giving forth. At this point, they are creating at least modifications or movements that are changed enough to be impressed when it comes to a micro brand. I like to say web-based brand. But a lot of people will argue with me and say, nay, Christopher Ward is a independent brand at this point. And listen, whatever you want to call it, they are the big dogs. And so when they do something as far as the release goes, they are talked about. And what they did here is they released a diver, effectively 200 meters, still Swiss made. They're giving you the FKM. I think this is FKM. It definitely looks like rubber, but they're giving you a spread. And I do believe that this is released in, no, and I don't believe, I know that this is released in 2 different sizes when it comes to what you want to choose. I think it's a 44 and it's a 38 maybe. 40 millimeter. No, these are other ones. Let's go into the new Trident Reef. Yes, let's do that. Let's take a look. Now, a lot of colors being displayed here with this whole spread. So here's the deal. This is, I don't like saying entry level. It really bothers me. I rather say affordable. They did something that I've talked about in lives prior. I like when a brand that tends to be more expensive, to give you reference, I consider anything over $1,000 very expensive. I think anything around $800 is starting to push the envelope. But what they're doing here, ladies and gentlemen, is they're giving you an option for a diver, which some people would say entry. I say more affordable. And they're giving you an option to step into Christopher Ward with the specifications and the finishing that you're used to. And I think that's fantastic. I think that when you release watches within the $3,000-$4,000 range, which that has its own market, we know this because they're sold out on a lot of watches. I think it's nice to always peel it back and give you something that is more so within range, possibly for yourself, if you don't have a crazy amount of spend power. Yes. So $850 on the FKM, sub 1,000. Okay. Now, here's the deal. I think for me, and I'm going to wrap this up all by saying this. For me, an FKM, I probably wouldn't buy this on an FKM. I would buy this on a bracelet because I told you guys that bracelets are key. And let me catch up on chat because I go real fast and then I get lost. And then some stuff is relative to what I was saying before. Trap Vision is in the building. What's going on, Travis? I do appreciate you for popping in. So Salida 200-1, right? So we're getting that movement. We're getting 200 meters of water resistance. We're getting a screwed down crown. We're getting some fun colors, man. Some fun colors. So listen, from a bird's eye view, I was right. This is 41 available and 44. Now, apparently, so here's the deal about Christopher Ward. One thing that I want to talk about, right? They're tapped in. They're tapped into the matrix. What do I mean by that? They're at almost every show there is imaginable, right? I think Mike does maybe 30 to 40 shows. Like, he does an insane amount of shows a year. What that effectively gives you is a brand that is going to listen to feedback. In fact, in most shows, I think all of them maybe, they don't allow you to buy the watches at the show. They're more interested for your experience. They're more interested to hear your conversation. They're more interested to have a conversation with you. Their booth is always mobbed. This is including the New York windup. What that effectively does is give you the feedback or the direction that the market, being your customers, being your fans, what they want. And what a lot of people asked from Christopher Ward is a bigger watch, 44 millimeters. Now, let's pay attention to that, okay? Because there's more to that story, and I'll get into it. So 44 millimeters is a big boy. Most people say that that's way too big for their wrist, but there's more to that. Let me see if I can get down to the specs. I think we're here. This is the specs for the 41. Let's see. Boom. We've got the loom. Let me see. I just want to see if I can get more because here, you know, the biggest thing that matters. Okay, so this is the specs for the 41, but the height level on this is 11.45, so sub 12. That is called, ladies and gentlemen, thin. When we say 11.45 for a diver, that is not called thickness. That is called thinness. Yes. Lug to lug is where I like to go, right? And I think the lug to lug is the same for the 44, but 47.9 means that it's going to fit bone to bone. And in my humbled opinion, is the most important measurement. Yes, thickness matters too. But what looks more weird is a watch that hangs off of your wrist bone rather than a watch that is super thick, to be fair. So 47 is on the button for me. That's damn near 48. I think I could still manage that. I don't know if you can. I have a 7.25 inch wrist, but I think that that's key to the different sizes that they have available. It is in a 41. And again, I think it's 41 and 44 millimeters. Here's the deal, man. Okay, so let me give you guys this. Your question might be this. You might be wondering where I personally would go with this collection if I were, right? And there's definitely a matter of summertime vibe, yes? There's definitely a lot of color play here. This is inspired by the Reef. So maybe no matter what, they were going to do this. But the fact of the matter is this. I love the fact that Christopher Ward came out with a watch that is more affordable than what they usually offer. And they're still giving you all the finished specifications and everything else of the like. And if you guys watched any videos, if you've seen any side profile shots of the watch, you're going to see some side colors on the side of the case itself. I'm trying to see if I could pull that up. Yeah, so something like this, like on the side here, you have the white. So that's something that you have to live with. Personally, I'm not going to go for this, but if I did, it has to be on bracelet. Always, we have a full polished here, and I do believe that the white model is the only one with the ceramic bezel insert. But I'll tell you what, I'm not mad at the design. I'm not mad at how they put this together, in totally. So for me, okay, so here's the deal. When I saw this model, I thought of Squal. Does that happen to be because I have a Squal currently in my possession? Maybe, but I love this design. If I had to choose one, it probably would be this one. I love the blue and orange color play. And of course, we have the Trident for the second hand, which is notorious for Christopher Ward. I like their logo. Some people don't like it. I do like that logo. And of course, this nice orange just goes pretty well. You have the FKM. I believe it's FKM. I haven't confirmed that yet. And that's the price point, and US $850. So they're listen, and I think at that point the spread I think is roughly $200 for the bracelet. So it is at $1,000 if you go for the bracelet. But I do believe that if you go for their other models with the divers, we're at $1,200. So not too far off. But at the end of the day, they're a name. They're a name that's well respected. And if you're into micro brands, if you're into web-based brands, if you're into independent brands, they're a name that they can do things like this, right? And they also will have the sales. I imagine that this is going to sell phenomenally. Period. It's at the right time. It's at the right mood. With the cost of things going up, this would look. I don't know if they had this in their back catalog. I don't know if this was a project that was going to happen no matter what. I don't know if it just happened to be perfect timing. But at the end of the day, I do think that this is fitting for the times that we are in, with everything being more expensive and then bringing down the price without sacrificing quality at all. I don't think you're getting any cost when it comes to that SW200. I do think you're getting the standard movement when it comes to it. But even still, fantastic. And if you haven't pulled the trigger in a Christopher Ward, and by the way, when I was talking about the actual color being on the side of the watch, that's there too. So you would have to live with that if you were on the market for Christopher. If you were stalking Christopher Ward and waiting to, make the move on them, you're going to have to live with this colorway being on the side case as is for the profile fit. So even still, the total design package is there. I mean, you guys can see from this close-up with the indices, it's going to stand out. Everything is going to be prominent. And it's going to fit for their mold of what they bring to the table. Let me see what you guys are saying on chat. Let me scroll up. Oh, by the way, Noctua said you're the boss, babe. JP said you're the boss. She said he already knows. And you know what? I'm not going to go against that. Happy wife. You know the end. Lone Ranger has blessed us with, dude, when I say your name, I picture like a cowboy coming in on a horse. Lone Ranger's in the building. He says, hi ho silver, everyone. Robert Wood blesses us with his presence. Robert Wood, welcome in, man. I do enjoy the channel. I do it one day, Robert Wood, I will be able to stay up late on a Tuesday, but our bedtime is very early. I do apologize. He made fun of me, by the way. Robert Wood made fun of me, babe. He was like, come on, man, keep the wife up. Keep the wife up. He's like, give her coffee. They go live on a Tuesday at 8:30, 9 o'clock. She said she teaches babies your beat. And I do have to agree, because happy wife. Lone Ranger, you guys are talking to each other. That color matched I like that color matched mid case. Okay. Yeah. And it's, you know what? I'm not mad at it. It definitely won't deter me, Eric. If it were me and I was having to make a decision and I was waiting for something like this, now here's the deal. Just because it is within the price point, relatively affordable compared to what they've released prior, I'm not jumping out of my chair. I can't wait. Because here's the deal. I have my sights set on something else. I think that my first big watch is going to be the Bel Cantos. That can change. Who knows? But for me, I'm not going to pull the trigger for sure. But I can see a lot of orders for this watch for sure. And I can live. If I were going to, I could live with that mid case color as well. It would look better with a sailcloth. Of course, you would say such a thing, bro. Listen, sailcloths are cheap 99. Okay, you can put a sailcloth wherever you want for sure. Noctua agrees. Just saying. So I think that that's all that I really wanted to say about this release. I am happy to see such a thing. It does excite me. It does fit the conversation that I bring up when it comes to web-based brands, independent brands, doing stuff that is not only, super, because I'm so happy. Here's the point, and I'll end it off on this, and we'll move on to the next brand. They could have easily kept going and just striking the iron with modification to movements, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000. Here comes an in-house movement. And here's the deal. A pure in-house movement is definitely capable from this brand. We're going to see something fully, I don't know, is the loco completely in-house? Answer me that, for those who know better than me. I don't know if the loco by Christopher Ward is completely in-house, but if it isn't, they are definitely the ones that are capable of doing such a thing. And I'm so happy that they didn't just abandon other possibilities for more affordable stuff. End scene. What color combination do I prefer? If I were going for it, bro, let me take another look. I have been attracted to a lot of white dial. I don't know if I would go white dial for this though, because I'm not too excited about the green with that. So this is green with white. This is black. Black is boring to me, even though the watch on wrist has a black dial. I want to say, okay, so I have a San Martin that looks very similar to this orange. Where did it go? To this orange here. So I would probably pass on that, even though that would be probably my first pick. Summer vibes, yes. I want to say Lone Ranger, if I was going with something, it would be this bad boy here. Because I can't go wrong with blue. Blue, I have a weakness for blue dials for sure. I love that they leaned into the teal with this royal blue, I'm going to call it. I love that they leaned into that and they weren't afraid to put two blues together and not be afraid of it clashing. So that's where I would go personally if it were up to me on the color combination. Let's move on. So here's something that's, I don't know. I'm going to let you guys talk about it. I'm about by the sailor, man. Can I get demonetized for that? So Spinnaker. I have a Spinnaker. I like Spinnaker. Well, my wife has a Spinnaker. I don't have a Spinnaker. My wife does. Spinnaker is known to be very playful. Yes. I have the Fluces Loose, fantastic colorways and a barrage of colorways. We've seen what they did with the Pac-Man Ghost, 50 Phantoms, right? 50 Fathoms, 50 Phantoms. We've seen what they did with SpongeBob, but here they go again. And they're continuing their play on cartoons and fun. Listen, I'm not mad at it. Here's the deal. I'm a grown man, okay? I got a job. I got a wife. I pay bills. I consider myself grown. I'm 36 years young. Would I wear a cartoon watch? I know I would because I own the Joker. I showed you guys my Invicta Joker. I'm not going to go heavy on it, though. You know what I mean? And I'm not going to say that and hate on this release because it's still so much fun. I love how much fun Spinnaker is having. I know that somewhere out there, and it may be a gentleman or it may be a lady who is older than I am, right? And they went with the SpongeBob and then they peeled it back to an older cartoon like Popeye. And I watched a couple of episodes. I maybe have to re-up. I know that he eats spinach and then he gets stronger than Bruno, and olive oil is his wife. So I know some things. Okay. Would I wear this watch? Nay, I'm not gonna go for it. That's not for me. However, I think that it's super, super fun, and I'm not mad at it. And I say more power to them. How they're getting the rights to do these collaborations, and I would imagine they're collaborations, otherwise they'd be sued heavily. Yes. Uh, the fact that they're able to really do a lot of these things, and listen, they've done a lot of other collaborations that are pretty impressive, right? I mentioned a few, but there are more, and I'm not mad at this at all. This, listen, my father might even like something like this, honestly. And you know what? At the price point for $400, 430 pieces for the Bruto, 730, because they figured the good guy is going to sell more watches. That's what they did there. 730 pieces, 395. They at least kept the price the same. Imagine they did Popeye for like $500, and then they did Bruno dirty anyway with this 430 pieces, in my opinion. But here's the deal: Popeye and Bruno. I'm not mad at it, man. I'm not mad at it. And you know what I saw that was kind of cool? First, before we do that, let's look at the specifications. It's still a legitimate watch in the sense of specifications. We're getting 150 meters of water resistance. They're saying a Japan movement, so I'm guessing it's a Miyota. Screw down crown, unidirectional, 22 millimeter strap. I'm not mad at it, man. This is a lot of fun. You got to have some fun sometimes. You know what I mean? And let's look at this. Like, you guys see the loom on the right? I can't blow it up. I'm clicking on it, but it's not blowing up. The loom on the right, the indices are C3 clearly. I think that, and I may be wrong, I think that Popeye's arms, along with Bruno's, is BGW9 to contrast. And then we have an anchor, which is Popeye's signature logo for the second hand and also on his tattoos that you guys can see here. I'm not mad at this release, man. Let me know how you feel. You get a 2-year warranty. I'm not mad at this release. It's fun in the sun, and it's at the right time. I don't know why they went with a red aperture here. That's pretty interesting. But I'll tell you what, man, and one of the things that excited me the most about Spinnaker, babe, you have your watch, the Spinnaker watch? No? One of the things about Spinnaker that I like the most, and I'll show you guys on my Seiko SKX, because I modified this. This is how you know. The reason why I love Blancpain, and I haven't showcased that a lot. I haven't talked about it a lot. The reason why I like the Blancpain is that rounded bezel insert. There's a proper name for it, but that's what we're calling it here. And I actually modified my SKX to resemble that, right? To have that rounded kind of bezel insert. I love that look. And Spinnaker does that a lot. And that scratches the itch for a Blancpain. At least for me. That's my own opinion. That's enough. I know I have a low barrier of entry. But overall, I've done a review. I own one of the Spinnaker watches. It's well built, man. It's well built for the money that you're gonna pay. I mean, I do wish this had. I don't know if this has a bracelet option. I wish it did. I think that this needs a bracelet option. That's the only thing that I could say about it for sure. But I'm not mad at it. Spinnaker's a very fun brand for sure, and they're often at the shows. And I'm going to say what's up. Let me catch up on chat. Make sure we don't get too far off the boat. What are you guys saying here? Simon, you guys are greeting each other. Okay. Ristful Ignorance is in the building. What's going on, bro? I do appreciate you for stepping in. Anything directly at me? Not yet. You guys are maxing and relaxing. I can't be mad at that. So let's go back. So let's continue. Yes. So we went from Noctua, Christopher Ward, Spinnaker. Excited about this. Not bad at it. Now, here's the deal. I've got this brand, guys, that I want to bring up. I want to throw this in the mix. And I came privy to this brand by Time Ticker. She did a review of this watch, and that made me privy to it. Now, the reason why, and I don't even know if this is a new release. We're throwing things in the mix. By the way, shout out to my man, Oscar. If you're watching this on the playback, I don't think you're in the chat. But Oscar put me on to the Spinnaker release. But Time Ticker, on here on YouTube, did a review of this brand. And I've talked to you guys before about a movement that I'm particularly interested in. Now, I do own that, and that movement is the PT5000. Why? Because it's a movement based off of ETA, and it gives you that feel of a movement that is high beat, yes, but still the most affordable. And here's what I think is going to happen. Mark my words, yes. Mark my words, today of this hour, I think that what we're going to see is an evolution of the PT5000, which is 28,800 beats. Again, it's basically like the Swiss movement, yes, SW200. We're going to see a lot more brands utilizing it more, backing it more, and also sticking by it. We're going to see a lot more reputation for that. And I want to put you guys onto this. Now, this brand is called Acton. They do that sand dune dial, right? But the reason why I brought them up, let me go to their main webpage, is because, and I hope that I'm correct on this, I think it was about the movement. This is 299, 36 millimeters. I hope that this is specifications. This is a quartz in particular. I think they had more options. Hold on. Maybe I'm mixing this up with another brand. I hope I'm not. It's a possibility. Yeah, I might be mixing this up with another brand. Yeah, at this price, for sure, you're not getting in PT5000. There was another brand. I do apologize. It wasn't this one. The show must go on. Moving on. This is another brand that actually interested me. Let's check this out. Okay, so here's the conversation that's been had for a long time, right? The conversation that happens a lot amongst enthusiasts, especially within the web-based brand section, is getting new designs, getting a different feel. And I think that this brand, with this release, gave us something that is more futuristic and yet unique in its own design. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's a homage of this, brand and stuff like that, because there's a lot of homages that are out there. But I thought this was very, very interesting. And I think this is one of the newest releases from them. I do like this, man. This has a lot of details. There's a lot of depth in the dial itself. I thought this was pretty interesting. If you haven't seen this yet, this may be worth you guys checking out. But here's the money shot. Yes. I love this. I love this kind of design that leans into the loom. I like how this looks very differently. If you could imagine, the second hand would be rotating because the second hand is at the 6 o'clock position. What movement are we talking about here? We're talking about $800 hairs USD. So I do expect at that price point, without a bracelet especially, I know that it is still a unique design and that costs money. However, I'm hoping that this is a version of an SW200. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm right. I was wrong on the last one. They call me the learning professional for a reason. This is an SW26. This is an SW260. So we are getting a Swiss-made movement with this. Listen, here's the deal, man. I just like a micro brand, I hear your guys' thoughts and opinions. And what you hear amongst watch enthusiasts the most is that we thirst for something. I want to throw another brand in there. We thirst for something new. We're tired of homages that are too close to the original. Because, I've had people tell me like, oh, this looks like this watch. It's just a homage of this watch. And then somebody with a bigger brain than mine goes, no, actually, this is from a watch that's 20, 30 years prior to that. So get off your high horse. The watch community, and rightfully so, I'm not mad at it, right? I'm talking on both sides of my mouth. Rightfully so, wants something that is more of a newer design, maybe futuristic, maybe not. But I like the way that this looks in particular. I think that this is one of their more newer releases. And I'm not mad at it at all, especially with a Swiss-made movement, especially with a small seconds hand. You know what? This is what happens with my watch collection in particular. I have a lot of running seconds that are in the centerpiece of the watch itself. So I like a little bit of a sub-dial for a second hand at this point. I talked about getting away from actual divers, or at least I'm not going to penalize divers. I'm going to say that I need to get away from bezel action watches. And that can also be pilot watches. I'll give you guys an example. I have my Notice on me, right? That still has a bezel on it. So it's not in GMTs. I have my Islander watch on me, right? That has a bezel as well. So it's not exclusively for divers only, but I got a lot of watches with bezels on them. And as much as I like to have them on there, because it, you know what it does? I don't normally even turn the bezel. And I know you guys love divers for their bezels as well, but I don't normally turn it on a day-to-day basis. It's just nice to have. And what I truly think it does is I think it adds to the aesthetic of the watch, because it can either complement or it can contrast the centerpiece of the watch itself, which is the dial. So all that to say, I have a lot of those. So what I'm trying to step towards is not necessarily Gato watches, because I have my newer watches with me that don't have bezel, rotating bezels. I have my Brew. You guys seen my other Brew as well. I'm not necessarily stepping away from diver category, but I'm stepping away from that bezel, if you will. Now, with that being said, I'm not mad at a internal rotating bezel. I think my next diver, just to end this argument with myself, I think my next diver has to be an internal rotating bezel. And that's going to be included to the watches that I showed to you guys today, because I think I included them as well. Hold on, let me look real quick while I ramble off. I didn't. So I'm gonna just announce it. Kuo has a they call it the sombrero. For some reason I didn't put them up there, but they have an internal rotating bezel, and we talked about this on the other lives. If I were to go there, I think I would go there. Or Edward Christopher. I don't know. There's too many watches, too little time, and too little money. What are you guys seeing on chat? Let me catch up. Let me scroll up. More like, you guys have been going off. I do apologize. You guys are saying hi to yourself there. Okay, that's where I was. What combination? Spinnaker keeps it light while giving you quality. I do agree, sir. Watchman54, welcome in. Thank you for joining us. It's a great way to have fun with a watch. I like them. I grew up watching this cartoon. There you go, man. And I think that they knew that, and they went with the SpongeBob SquarePants, and then they said, you know what? Let's go back. Let's roll it back to the other generation, which is my father's generation. And he would love this watch, I think. I don't know. I might have to ask him. But it's a fun cartoon, for sure. Ming homage. I'm so far ahead, dude. I do apologize. Raymond D, welcome in. Good afternoon. The Escapement Show is in the building. What's going on, brother? Let me see. Let me see what's on chat. Let's see what's on. You guys are saying hi. Trap Vision could be active now. Customers have been crazy. Yeah, man. You got to get it in between. Yo, where's bezel equals fidget spinner. I do agree, man. I do agree. The only time I mess around with the bezel is when I'm bored. And or you guys ever get your bezel just misaligned randomly? I call that the ghost misalignment. It's like, how did that bezel turn? That's the only time I recalibrate it. And then I kind of appreciate the quality of the bezel itself, if you will. I think we're caught up on chat. Let me see. Okay, let me see. Have a look at. I will check them out. Actually, you're not the first person to bring them up. Let's move on. I do appreciate the recommendations. So we went here. I missed up on here. I'm gonna check this brand out though. Even still, yeah, listen. To go off on a tangent, this definitely gives me at East Dive vibes, right? I think with this dial, and I think Christopher Ward went with this Sand Dune dial at 1.2. I don't know if they still have it as well. $299 specification wise. Oh, wait a minute. Ladies and gentlemen. Hold on. Linda, listen, Linda. I was correct. I retract what I said before. I doubted myself. That's the problem. Don't doubt yourself just because that button is red and you are live. I was correct. So let's go back into the tangent of the PT5000. And listen, I know you guys that are in chat. We've had this conversation before. JP, I know your thoughts. Travis, I know your thoughts. Risful, I know your thoughts. I know. But I got to make a point. When I really believe in something, when I'm really inspired by something, when I'm really enthusiastic about something, I got to beat a dead horse. The PT5000 is going to be a movement that you guys, I'm not going to say it's going to replace the NH35. That's impossible. Nobody can beat a workhorse movement like Seiko. However, what is very real is that when you have a seasoned, and I use quotations when I say seasoned, I'm collecting for 5 years now. I'm a little numb to it. I'm a little numb to the NH35. Why? Because I have so many models that are with it. Does that mean I won't purchase a watch that has it? No. I can't say that it naturally progresses me to be interested in other things. Other things means higher beats, and possibly power reserves. You guys know how I feel about power reserves. When you rotate 50 watches, you don't want your watch to last 70 hours. Why? Because when you put that watch down and you don't pick it up for 2 months, it is now effectively working not for you, but on its own, getting it closer to a service call. Fair? I say that to say this. Even still, I'm interested in higher beat movements, which leads me to SW200, Le Joux Perret. The list goes on. But when we talk about the next bump in not affordability, but value, PT5000 is not trusted yet. However, my prediction is this. I think that more brands are going to be going with the PT5000. Let me take my face off because nobody wants to see that. And this is a perfect example of that, yes? Now, I can say that maybe the sand dune type of dial is a little played out. Maybe some people missed the boat. Maybe some people didn't pull the trigger, because what happened with Addy's Dive is that they didn't go with a mechanical movement. It was at an incredible price, sub 100. I think it was close to $40, $50. It was insane. I own it. I haven't done a review of it, but that's how I can speak about it. But however, this company, Acton, again, that was brought up by Time Ticker, does have the option for you to go with a PT5000. Okay, so you get 28,800 beats, and all of that is, and I'm pretty sure this is a sapphire crystal. I don't need to know that it's self-winding. We know this. Double dome sapphire crystal. There you go. So the point is this, and I said it here first. Okay, so if anybody tries to capitalize, I need you to have my back. There are going to be, and it may be micro brands. Once micro brands double down, and I do believe this movement is made out of Hong Kong. JP, let me know if you know this, or Trap Vision, you guys know this. I think that that movement is based out of China. That's a Chinese movement, Hong Kong, I think. And I think what will happen over time is that it will be trustworthy. It will be pushed more mainstream, giving you that 28,800 beats, giving you that smoother sweep, and pushing it closer to the more affordable sector of watches altogether. Therefore, being utilized more. Who will be utilizing that the most? San Martin. People like San Martin. They're not a micro brand. They are a fraction away from being considered a micro brand, and they have the sister company of Zhenghong, which is an actual micro brand. Yes, and I was talking about unique designs, so it's fitting. But I think my point is this: we're going to see it more often. Let me catch up on chat. Yes, Erebus is about to drop their Titan. I don't think they have anything on their website, so I didn't bring them up. However, I am so excited. I'm so excited to see where Erebus is going to go. I think, in my own opinion, they hit the ground running. I think that they did a lot of good pivots. They're on their way. They're definitely plugged into the matrix. They're the brand. Listen, they're going to be a very big brand in very short time, because realize that Jody, and I don't want to take anything away from his partner, because his partner is fantastic as well. That's in this company of Erebus. But when you're plugged in, when you're a watch enthusiast and you're plugged into the community, you know And that is absolutely transparent with his ascent. Now, a lot of people said that brand identity is what it's lacking. Yeah, no crap. They're just starting off. Let them get their legs. Let them get cash flowed. The company needs blood. But once that happens, oh man, it's going to be dangerous. When you talk about value, now, can they still? Here's the real question about Erebus. The real question about Erebus is, can they find their brand identity whilst still keeping things relatively tight with the value? I won't even say affordability, value. That's what I want to see. That's the real question that is at hand. And I think that they can do it, and they will do it, because at the end of the day, when Jody and his partner go to manufacturers and they have these videos and they have just a lot of rapport. Yes. And I talked about how things are all relationship based. However, when they see how plugged in they are to the community, they're going to get deals. And once they head for the cash flow, they're going to buy quantity. And I'll tell you something, man. And JP, if you're still in the chat, you can validate this. I think that the most important thing after relationships and after validation is a quantity order. So if you want to build your own identity in the watch brand, in the watch community, or in watches in general, I think that going there and saying I need 100 units versus saying I need 10,000, obviously buying power. But when you have all those things encompassing, you might get a nice surprise. Acton has been getting some buzz lately. You know what? I haven't heard much about them before Time Ticker's review. They're worth me diving into, because listen, I'm interested in anybody who's messing with the PT5000 at this point, because I am an advocate for that movement alone blowing up. I don't know if it takes I need a 10-day. You need a 10-day power reserve, Lone Ranger. Listen to me. That's a cap. That's what the young generation calls a CAP. Because I know for a fact that you have a sizable collection, sir. So if you have a 10-day power reserve, I guess the goal ultimately would be that if they had a power reserve that they came out with that's 2 months long, that's mechanical, then it would be up to par. I would be able to rotate it to get to that watch fast enough before it powered down. But even still, the point is this, and this is my point. You may disagree with me. The point is, if the watch is not on your wrist, why would you want it running? The more that the watch runs, the more that the parts wear. Now, the parts are metal. Therefore, it takes a significant amount of time for those parts to wear. So then the argument is more so on the lubrications. The lubrications, as it wears and as you have those super micro friction points, the lubrication is going to be used, therefore drawing you closer to a service. If you don't service fast enough, now you have metal on metal. And even though we're talking about something, again, microscopical, it wears down the part. Therefore, the part has to be changed out completely, increasing your service call. End scene. That's my point, and I'm sticking to it. Bro, I need my first Dan Martin. I want to say I know that brand. I've heard that brand. I know that brand. Yes. If you need it, bro, get it. Life is short. Just saying. Buy responsibly. Yes, it's a Chinese problem, is that other Chinese companies clone them, and you have that problem, right? So it's basically like an ST, the Seagull movement. They give the rights to make the movement, but then if you're not getting it from exactly C-Go, you don't know if you're getting. So how would you go around that? Listen, dude, there's several ways to skin a cat. So if you wanted to make PT5000 official, and of course that would increase the price of the movement itself because you're increasing its quality. I guess the way to go about it is to do like an official branding on the movement itself to signify it being coming from a manufacturer that is kind of like Seiko does, that is vetted and qualified to be categorized as just as good as an SW200. I know you guys just canceled me for saying that, but I think that should be the goal. I'm not saying that's where it is. I'm saying that should be the goal. End scene. Yeah, bro, you know you got more than one watch. Stop it. You got like 50. I've seen some images of the Titan in their chat. And the helm escape valve. Ooh, it has an escape valve? Oh my goodness. Oh, I can't wait to see it. Cheese man, thank you for leaking that. Thank you for leaking that on this live. Pause. Looking for where there's a place for a non-digital quartz watch in your collection, Skylar. Wait, what did you just say? Where is there a place for a non-digital quartz watch in your collection? How do you feel about quartz? You know what's so funny, Escapement Show? I was actually going to make a whole video about quartz watches, and I'll give you the synopsis. I'm all for it, baby. Like, here's the deal. As much as I get connected to my mechanical watches, because you have to wind them, and I'll tell you what, man, I'm starting to get a little bit more interested in hand wound only. Why? Because that watch needs me and not just my movement. Like, if you decide to wear that more than one day, which rarely happens with me, but I love that if I wake up 4 a.m, it's 24 hours and it's time for me to wind that watch. And therefore you build up greater connection. I know we're getting super nerdy, but at the end of the day, there's only nerds on this channel. Now that being said, as nostalgic or as excited I am about that idea, I love quartz watches just as much. I mean, I'll tell you what, man, and it's not just because it's a New York-based brand, but I love this brew watch, man. I absolutely love quartz. Dude, I have the Boulevard. Like, how could you deny quartz? Even if we're talking about digital or non-digital, because I have my Casios, I have my F91W that's quartz, right? And I'm sorry, I moved the lighting. Hold on, I got to kind of do it like F91W. You guys know what it looks like. Quartz, I love quartz. Whether it be analog or digital, it doesn't matter. Whether it be solar, whether it be the combination of quartz and mechanical, right? Because that's what the brew effectively is with the VK movement. Absolutely. And it doesn't change anything for the fact. Here's what it changes. And again, this conversation is about education, right? So if you're talking about a Grand Seiko quartz that uses some mechanical, you can't expect to pay the same as like a Seiko, a base model Seiko movement quartz, yeah? Like a mega quartz. But I do expect to pay less for something that's mass produced. Does that change my love for the watch? No, but I'll tell you where it matters most, Escapement Show. Where it matters most is I don't like quartz movements, and this may be only for the very extremely affordable movements. I don't like when you turn the hour and minute hand, it's like super fast, like it spins super fast. I like my quartz watches to feel more mechanical when I change the hands and I calibrate the time, if that makes sense. Which is why that makes sense. I like the mega quartz, right, from Brew. The reason why I like it the most is because you're getting the best of two worlds. Yes, when you hit, let me change the lighting because it really has to be here. Here we go. So when you hit this chronograph, and this is why it's called a mega quartz, right? That's why it's like a mechanical and it's like quartz. You get a smooth sweep when you hit that. I like that. And I'll tell you something else. When I set the hands on this, you know what really bites my buns? When you set hands on a quartz watch, you guys know when you push in the crown and it jumps like a minute or like 30 seconds left or right or up or down? I hate that. So as long as the quartz watch doesn't do that, dude, you need to grab and go. And there's nothing, and incredibly accurate, right? We get caught up after we get numb to the NH35, which is way into its tolerances to begin with. But we get caught up on movements being more accurate. Eventually you graduate maybe to COSC. But a quartz watch, incredibly accurate. I digress. Copy that. That's a better clone. Okay. Copy that. Let me catch up on chat. Saint Martin. Yes. Looking for a watch that I can wind at least 100. You're such a troll, bro. You're such a troll. That's hilarious. Uh, an automatic watch, you can wind that. I don't recommend. Here's the deal: a lot of people think because the automatic watches have a slip that you can wind it to oblivion. You're still wearing down the movement, so don't do that. But if you're gonna do what Lone Ranger wants to do and wind a watch 180 times, that's the one to do it. Don't do it with a manual wind. You troll. Is the most useless party trick. It is. Is it the most useless party trick? No, I'm going to have to argue with you, JP, and say that a loomed crown is the most useless party trick. Yes or no? I think you say yes. Unless you're saturation diving. Exactly. So there's still a use for that helium escape valve for saturation divers. By the way, bro, you'd be surprised. There's a lot of people, I won't say a lot of people, but there are actual career paths where people have to do they have to do welding on submarines. Yes, that is qualified for saturation diving for the amount of long time that they're underneath the water for. Plus all the movement that they're doing and everything else. So now a loom crown. Please tell me, what's that for? Don't worry, I'll wait. I think that's a super party trick. Or how about this? A loom date wheel. Because the second that date wheel changes over, it no longer has a solar retention, and therefore it's not going to illuminate. So that's another party trick that I would argue is less satisfactory than a actual escape valve. Just saying. Yeah, sometimes the professor knows a couple of things. My wife says I'm not a watch snob, by the way. I don't know if you guys heard that. She's laughing too on top of it. Imagine a mechanical fitness watch which weighs 500 grams and is quite hard to wind. You have to do like that would definitely be like, bro, you might as well strap a dumbbell to your wrist. Pay less for something that is mass produced. Someone tell Rolex that, please. That's a good point, Robert Wood. Robert Wood with the daggers at the king. And I don't want to say Rolex is the king. They do have the crown, but that doesn't make them the king. I want to say Vacheron. Vacheron Constantine definitely has the crown. Yes, yes, or no, no. Let me know. Noctua seconds that. Manual wound watches are beautiful, like you said. The connect and also manual wound. While we're on the topic, reduces the overall thickness of the movement, therefore giving you the ability to come out with something thinner. How do I know this? Because I talk to you guys. But also, if you take the example of Brew, he did a manual wind. He left the actual slip on it because I think he did a screw down too. That's another thing too. Manual wind on a screw down, yeah, you want to have that slip still in the movement so like that you don't break that sucker trying to move it in. Are beautiful, like you said. The connections you get to the watch is winding every day. Whenever you wear it is special. The Salida 210 is commonly used. Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think that's the movement that's actually used in the Brew as well, and effectively bringing down the thickness, which in fact at that point you have to call thinness. I love my cost, bro. You're super troll today. You're super troll today. You're in rare form, and to be in rare form through text is wild. I'm gonna need you to simmer down. Watch that one. Let me catch up on chat. A loom crown is good if you are winding your watch 180 times in the dark. Mr. Ben 10 is in the building, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Ben 10 News. What's good, everyone? What's on everybody's wrist today? Loom crown. Remind you to wind your yo, you guys are funny today, man. I'm normally the one that's in rare form. You guys are in rare form today. Let's take a look. I think I caught up. So, what is the watch you're wearing, Skylar Santana? Robert Wood comes late to the party, and then he wants everybody to introduce themselves again. And because, sir, you have age on me, I will tell you, I got my Nomoki mods on my left wrist, okay? And I have my Noctua watch on my right arm. Just for you, sir. Just for you. I do apologize. Sorry for everyone who was here on time, but when Robert Wood puts in a request, it must be met. Let's go on to the next watch that I want to show you guys, because that was a sick long rant without showing you guys any watches. Moving on. So again, just to close this out, I know a lot of people ask for something that is new in design. I thought this was interesting enough. You may want to check this out. It has a Salida movement. What was the other specifications for this? I don't know how many water resistance it was off the top of my head. If I can't find it right away, I'll let you guys check it out. Specifications, man. I need them in the forefront. Specifications. See, summary. I like that. Where's the summary? Is this the summary? Here we go. Yeah, 200 meters. See what I'm saying? So, a diver, nonetheless. Now, it still has the bezel, but it's a little bit more covert. End scene. Who's this? Moser. Who would have thought that Santana would have brought a Moser up to the channel? I had to, man, because I saw this release and I was like, I don't go skeleton, but if I were to go skeleton and I were to have the money, Moser's, I think this is one of their newer releases. This is fantastic, yes? I mean, I like this one, man. I really, really do. This looks fantastic. And I give a lot of props to Moser, man. Like, I knew about the brand prior to the I think they did a collaboration with Studio Underdog. But I knew about the brand prior to that. And I gotta say what, man, like all along, I give props to this company for not having and of course, is this branded, this one? Yeah, this one's, of course, it actually has the brand. I guess when you make something like this, you can't go without putting the brand. But the point is this: most of the time, most of their releases, they don't put the brand name on the dial itself. They don't have a logo on the dial. Yet still, people know that it's a Moser. That's impressive. And I'll tell you what, man, I'm not a skeletal guy, but when it comes to this watch specifically, oh yeah. And here's an example of what I was talking about. Like these two on the left, they have no branding. And people still yet know with who they are. I like this one. I really, really do like this one. Like everything about this is fantastic for sure. Like I like all of the design for it all together, man. So I wanted to show you guys this one for sure. A little bit different, man. We're being dynamic. We're going for something that's super affordable all the way up to something like this. Of course, at this level, we're talking about an NH. You caught that? We're talking about a in-house movement. Yeah, man, this is fantastic. Does it give me Belcanto's vibe? Dare I say that, right? Because Moser, I think, was around before them. Doesn't give me the vibe, but it does for some reason, man. And if I had to go skeletal, it would be this. It's almost like you're getting a full dial, but you're not at the same time. And then I always tell you guys crown size. Whoa. I always say that crown size matters. This has a nice big crown on it for sure. Like this really piqued my interest. And I think this is one of the newest designs from them as well. So absolutely love this. I love the hands on that dial, that dial at the 12 o'clock. It looks phenomenal overall, for sure. It looks phenomenal. Tourbillon. I think that's a tourbillon. Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy, for sure. Make sure chat is good. Thank you kindly, sir. Love using. Soon, the Escapement Show actually working on using an SW2. Yo, dude. Noctua. If you did that, bro, I would love that. Long time. Just saying. S1 Rally, very nice. All right, you guys are good. Let's move on to the next one. Now, this is a brand that I showcased in my 2024 windup, and they decided to go with a more dressier style. And I don't know if they have a video of their watches, but they have this floating secondhand type of shtick, and it's fantastic. Now they went into more of a square shaped design. If you guys don't know about this brand, I would definitely check it out. There's not many watches that I know of that have that much emphasis on being from Paris itself, right? I think this is like a Paris or a London brand or something like that. But the point is this, man, that floating secondhand, I would imagine they have a video somewhere that I could show you guys an example of that. I don't know. No, I don't think they have a video. Let me go to here. Okay, there we go. Well, that's not a floating secondhand, but that one's actually attached. But they do have floating secondands. But in any case, much more on the dressier side for this new release. And I'm going to attempt to say the name Bale Blue. Bale Blue. That's so wrong. I know it. But fantastic. I like this brand for sure. I like them. And here's an example of what I mean for the floating secondhand. This is what they do. And I'll tell you what, man, that's enough to intrigue me for sure. I thought that this was a spectacular watch, man. Going to the 2025 windup. Like, dude, that's super cool. And I think the way that they achieve that, I tried to guess, I was completely wrong. I think that there is a translucent sapphire crystal underneath the main crystal that rotates. I think that that's the way it's achieved. Either case, even if I'm wrong, that's sick. That is super sick. As far as seeing something new, seeing something that you're not used to, and the fact that they made this into a square. Now, it's not exactly the same way that this is actually functioning, yes, but this is actually attached to the middle here, but still fantastic. They have their rings as sort of the way to set themselves apart. This is the hour hand, yes. This is the minute hand, and then this is the second hand, if I am correct. But I do like this brand. I think it was something to highlight for sure, and that's one of their newer releases. So I wanted to bring that up. Squal, let's talk about it. Titanium, that's something new too. Two brand new models, one of blue, one of more of like a tealish. Argument's sake. Now, I'll tell you something right off the hip. I wish that Squal, and you guys know that I'm very, very heavily interested in independent brands, micro brands, all these things. A micro brand is an independent brand, but on a smaller scale. So whatever, web-based brand. I've always eyeballed Squal. I have an example of it, and now they come out with a new release with this model here. I want to know what you guys think about this. I really don't even want to give my opinion. I have some people in chat. What do you guys think about the new Squal? Right? 2250 is what we're talking about. Now, wildly more, I don't want to say wildly more. They had, and I think that's on, not even on bracelet, right? That's minus the bracelet. 120 ATM is crazy. Like, but that's what they do. That's what Squal is known for. Yes? Squal is known for that. 1521. Yeah. 500 meters. That's what Squal does. And that's what they've done, and that's what they will do. 120 ATMs. That's wild, bro. That's crazy. Let's talk about the movement. SW200, but I do. Oh, this is a Laboret. Okay. So then we're talking about the cost really coming from helium valve. Okay. So that's something that's new. I thought this was also titanium. Am I wrong on this? Was this also titanium? Am I crazy, or am I thinking about another watch? There's too many new releases in too little time to commit to memory. I believe these are also titanium. I may be off the deep end. Case tells me the diameter. No, I guess it's just brushed. They don't say anything about it being titanium. Nevertheless, yeah, man, I don't know how to feel about this one altogether. Elaborate. So elaborate, slightly better, not necessarily cost, not necessarily. I think there's another improvement that they could do to the movement itself. But here's the deal. newer release from them as well to stay on theme to new releases for sure. Let me know what you guys think about this, man. I don't necessarily have an opinion. I'll tell you what, the 1521, like, because I'm not going 2250. That's for sure. And I think for 2250, it should be on bracelet, but who am I? But either way, I know a lot of people love Squal, as they should. Brand history. Did a lot of things in the watch, in horology, if you will, when it comes for it. Yeah, 2K. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it was just me. That's the price in rubies. No, stop. They had John March. Yeah. I feel that Invicta did a private. What are you doing? Well, I feel like I'm like lost in the chat. Holly for 2K? Nah. All right, so then I'm not that crazy. I'm not that crazy. I guess because maybe they were leaning on the law of their dial being wildly different. I don't know, man. I mean, look, it's 120 ATM fire, but not necessary. That's more of a. That's not more of. That's definitely a flex. Even if you're a saturation diver, I don't think you need that much. Listen, man. At the same time, Ben 10, brand history, man. That's a brand history flex, I guess. You know what I mean? I was close to getting because of the hype, but then the impulse died out. Yeah, that happens too. Blue blue. Okay, that's how you pronounce it. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm good with the 1521 with the Squal. Just to wrap things up on that. I think it's really cool though. I think it's really cool. It might be it might be for someone out there. Maybe they want to go with the teal to lean away from the actual blue, you know what I mean? Altogether. But I'm not seeing anything too crazy. I mean, at least listen, at least for that price, you 100% got to give me a bracelet. Listen, if this watch was, and I don't know if it is, maybe I thought memory served me correctly and I thought it was titanium, but at least if this was titanium, it came with a titanium bracelet. It had the quick release and the diver extensions of the world. I could, you know, there's a cost for brand, you know, there's a cost for brand. But I'm not seeing it, man, with the helium. I guess that's where they're leaning into for the valve, but it's like, dude, ain't nobody like less than 120 ATMs is the helium escape vibe that people are going to need. But maybe I'm crazy, man. Maybe all the saturation divers, all the people welding submarines are going to jump all over this. And they were going for that smaller batch, something new. Because listen, the roots on Squal, there are diehard Squal people. So maybe I'm wrong for sure. I really like the dial on the new Squal. I like the dial too, dude. But attach that 2K like Ben 10 said, I don't know. And maybe that's just me. What else we got on chat? Ben 10 with the new. What do you say? Heritage. Slick talk. All right, what else do I have? Who else do I have? Can I talk about another company for you guys? You know what? We're going to talk about two more and then peel off real quick. I want to bring up, how long have we been on? Yeah, we got to land this plane very soon. All right, so let's talk about this. And I have experience with this. I've had this on the channel. This is Orion Watches. I like this guy. I like this guy for what he's doing. Now, he is, if you guys are like familiar with, I want to relate it to E. Stolman, but in a very different way. But it's related in the sense of the two being watchmakers. Yes. So this guy is a watchmaker that owns this company for sure. And I like the new release that at least I want to say the newer release that he had. I'm looking for a purple dial. Now, this is a 36. This is his Hellcat. I'll tell you something, man. When it came to putting watches on wrist, if I were to lean into that grandfather watch type of vibe, where it had the smaller proportions and it fit snug as a bug in a rug, I want to say that Orion was the most impressive to fit that category. And I wanted to highlight one of his newest models, man. I really did, because I do like it. I don't have a purple in the collection yet. Purple's one of those colors that, for me personally, you have to get right. And I feel like the tone and the setup entirely is just right. Now, here's the deal. With the proportions that we're talking about a 9.9 millimeter. Yes, super, super thin. Okay, 43 lug, 36 diameter, 18 millimeter. That might lose some people. You gotta go with the 20 millimeter strap friendly. But then again, maybe not, because we're talking about more of like a vintage, like I said, grandfather BGW 900 meters. We're talking about more of a Gata 9039. It has all the things, man, and this is like an official watch enthusiast brand for sure, and I wanted to highlight him. I had one of his watches on the channel. I did a review if you want to check that out, but this is one of the newer models with this purple color dial weight, and I did like this for sure, and it just fits nice, man. If you have like a really big wrist, I have a 7.25-inch wrist, but when I put this watch on wrist, man, I don't know, man, it just fits super cool. And then I always say that crown matters. He has a wide crown, as you guys can see. It's a wide crown, but still thin. And at the thickness, well, I should say thinness at this watch, yeah, I like this. I like this in the category of Gata. And I have my eyes peeled on Orion. And you know what? I think that it's worth you guys taking a look at the website. And if you don't have something that speaks out to you or jumps out to you from Orion, I would say at the very least, pay attention to his releases, because they're nice watches, man. They're nice watches. The Hellcat looks nice, kind of reminding me of the new Oris. Yeah, Oris vibes. Exactly. Oris vibes. For sure. I could see that. What mechanism on the Orion? I believe this was the... Wait, let me go back. Let me do this. I believe this is a Miyota movement. 9039. Did I say that before? Yes. 9039. Not mad at it. Not mad at it at all. Trying to keep it affordable, reliable, but still thin and everything else. The most worn color is blue. That makes sense. I got one more. This is where we're going to end things off. I did have a couple of other watches, but we are far into the deep end. So the last thing, ladies and gentlemen, that I wanted to bring up was this G-Shock. And we're going to talk about this watch right here. Now, when we talk about funky chickens, this is a funky chicken. What are your thoughts on this release? Because here's the deal, man. If you follow G-Shock, right? If you follow G-Shock, and I don't know, maybe this was made for the nerd, maybe this was made for the G-Shock fan, the G-Shock boys. It's a funky chicken, and I'm never mad at a funky chicken. In fact, I encourage, you guys saw my Invicta Joker, I encourage funky chickens. My last funky chicken was this Vario, right? With the offset dial and the crown. I always encourage funky chickens, man. Don't write them off, man. They could be super fun. However, this is either going to be a yes, no for you. Now, I know Travis owns this watch for sure, but if you follow G-Shock and their history, he was inspired to create a shock absorbent watch, right? From a tennis ball, and how it could kind of like absorb those G-Shock forces and everything else. So I get where people call this the angry tennis ball. This is out there, man. This is out there. Is it for me? If I had to choose one, yeah, it's not for me. It's honestly, respectfully, I don't think this is for me. This is a little too much. But that being said, when I see it come up on other people's feed, when I see other people wristing it, I am excited for it, man, because like I said, I do love funky chickens. And if there ain't a funky chicken that I've ever seen before in my life, because on this channel, I don't hate on watches, man. If I really didn't like a watch that much and I thought it wasn't worth my time or yours, I just wouldn't talk about it. But here's the deal. Just because it's not for my wrist doesn't mean it isn't for yours. And I got to say, man, this is to the max. It's out there, but I think it's super cool, man. I see that they're using some more, like they're using more so like that streetwear type of vibe. It's out there. But I've got to include all watches from all walks of life, everything from, your Christopher Ward, I think was the most expensive. No, the Moser, all the way to this G-Shock. Yes, 140. And if it's for you and you do like it, go for it, man. I think Travis has this model here. This is a funky chicken for sure. But I'll tell you what, man, I feel like this watch is going to outlast you if you go for it. I do like this LED light illumination. It does have the analog and the digital combination to it. It's loud and it's proud. I'm not too mad at it. Let me catch up on chat, and then we're going to close out. The landing gear is down, just so you know. The landing gear is down. What are we talking about? Let me see. Where was I before? Let me see. What'd you say? Squally's out there freaking mine with this charge for 2K. No, with being with Invicta 2 can't do it. Hey, listen, man, I understand. I understand. It's whatever you prefer. It's whatever you prefer. And that's okay. As long as it's a watch, I'm good with it. It should have at least grade 5 titanium. This, I think, was for the Squal A Lone Ranger. Yeah, I agree with that, bro. Yeah, grade 5 titanium case, grade 5 titanium bracelet. Yeah. With quick release, with diver extension, cost certified. I'm so glad you guys, you see what I'm saying? Like, I agree, man. I think at 2K, and listen, as much as we say that, people are going to buy that watch because they have the following. And listen, it's not every objective to sell 100,000 units every release. And I understand that. But I do agree with you guys. And we are the watch wizards, yes? So I think at 2K, cost certified, titanium bracelet, grade 5 on the case and bracelet, diver extension, and quick release. I'm going to throw quick release and diver extension in that as well. I do agree with you, Ben 10. Let me get some water. These companies know that we will spend the money. True. They get greedy and test the waters. And you can't be mad at that, man. Listen, it's a business nonetheless. Now, we get all hot and bothered, and we get a lot of opinions because you and I, Ben 10, and everybody else in chat and everybody else on the playback, we're super nerds, right? So no matter how you may be loose with your purse strings to purchase certain things, at the end of the day, in the back of the mind, because you may say, hey, I don't have whatever. I don't have, let's use mother of pearl. So you may spend a couple of extra for a brand that you really like to get that. At the end of the day, in the back of our mind, we know what value is, and we know that down to the skinny. So trying to pass something off like this ain't going to happen. But I'll still appreciate it. If I see it on the wrist of somebody and they love it, more power to you. And 10 is on one today. Yeah, he's in rare form a little bit. Not really too much, but slightly rare form. What is your most worn daily color? I evenly most worn daily color. I don't really have one, dude. I don't really have one. I just told you that I'm more drawn to blue. I'm a sucker for blue. If you put blue on a watch, you've just increased your chances of me purchasing it by I want to say 3 points out of 10. But I don't have a preferred, like I have something that tracks my rotation to my collection, and so I evenly put those on wrist when I rotate through my collection. So I really can't say. I can tell you that lately I've been more attracted, not putting into my collection, attracted to white dial. And you guys might be seeing a watch that's in the mail that has white dial. That's a brand new release pretty soon. Just saying. Teaser. What would be your summer watch picks, either from your collection? My summer watch picks would vouch for. My summer watch picks is definitely my Noctua, my retrograde brew, and my San Martin, for sure. Like, for me, all loom dials are fantastic for summer because that's really where they shine. No pun intended. But orange dial colorways, you have stuff like this Squal A with this electric blue type thing. That's also like a summer vibe to me. I want to say personally in my collection, it's number one, my San Martin, because it has that orange dialway. I don't happen to have that in front of me, unfortunately. But it's my all loom dials after that. It's my Noctua and it's my Brew Lumimint. The Lumimint. All loom dial. Because that's when it's going to get the most satisfactory in the charge itself. But here's the deal, man. You can slap a vibrant color strap to your watch at any point and make it a summer watch. If you disagree that this is a summer watch, once you put a strap like this from Montreux that is, yes, supple, it's now a summer watch. So if you have a favorite watch in your collection, just throw on a strap that coincides with summer vibes. But those are my three. Those are my three that I'm going to go with. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Most worn dial color is blue. I think that that's the listen. There's a reason why blue dials go for the most. So I do agree. Did you talk about the new Casio? I don't think so. I think that there's a Casio with a mechanical movement that you're talking about. I haven't talked about that. Perhaps NH35. Yeah, you are talking about that. I haven't. We'll include that on the next live for sure, Oscar. I do appreciate you. Oscar's the plug. And by the way, he misses no lives. G-Shock. G-Shock is a big feel interesting. Fixed hands and going off on G-Shock. I like it. I know I do the purple one. If I had to, which one would I go with? Man, shooting off the hip. I want to say if you're going to go with something this loud, you might as well go all the way, and I'd probably go with this neon green. Just saying. But you'd go with the purple one. I'm not mad at it. Purchase a G-Shock with a blunt. Dude, what are you doing to me? This is he laughs at it. What are you doing? This is family friendly here, brother. Oh man, I gotta skip that Ben 10. What are you doing to me? I gotta wrap this up. Airbus released the Titan. Yes. Oh, you wait, Airbus just released the Titan pre-order. Okay, cool. Come on, man. You know it's the cognac. Why are you being a troll? Why are you being a troll, bro? It's it's the cognac. Digging the G-Shock. Yes. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's land this plane. So, for everybody watching, I do appreciate you guys. I figured I'd show you guys a couple of new releases that you may or may not be privy to. But I'll tell you what, man, there were more than double than what I've showcased here today. In fact, the ones that I've chosen to showcase to you guys, I haven't even shown you all. So we'll save some for the next time. We have been on here for a long time, so I do appreciate everybody's participation. Everybody on the playback, I do appreciate. And I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. I do have a release video coming out tomorrow, so check that out. It is going to be a watch mod. So check that out tomorrow if you have some time. Anyway, I do appreciate everybody who joined us here today, and I appreciate you guys for spending your most valuable asset, which is time, and I'll hopefully see you in the next one. Later, guys. Have a great weekend.